the current bearer of the Civil Society of the Year Award. The Civil Society of the Year Award is really a peer review mechanism that gauges the level at which different civil society organizations are at. It is a process we participate every year, and the intention of LRF's participation is not only to win the cup, but also to gauge whether we are growing, because we aim to be an institution of excellence in terms of our processes, our procedures, in terms of motivating our staff, building capacity, ensuring that LRF's worth, is built. The vision of the Board of Trustees is realized. Currently, we are implementing programs on administration of justice. That has been a passionate appeal for LRF for the many years it has existed, to bring together effectiveness and efficiency in the running of government institutions, specifically the prisons, the police, the judiciary, probation and department, children's department, and many others. The idea is that the justice system cannot be changed by one institution. Therefore, all the institutions must run together. They must all be at the same level of reform. And therefore, when we have a very progressive judiciary system and we have a very slow police or security sector system, then there is an imbalance. And that is what we seek to embrace and ensure that they coordinate and work in unison. The other area we are targeting is governance and development. And of course, our main aim is to enhance citizen participation. So amplify the voices of the people, encourage them to like politics and to engage in it, because that is where development comes in, particularly the women, the persons with disability, excluded communities who have felt that they've had no voice or say in the past regimes, and that is what we are seeking to do. We are also implementing socio-economic rights, ensuring that social security rights, social justice is amplified, environmental rights of the communities, land, and all that, because we know they have a tag on livelihoods, and that is what we want to ensure that it is protected, even as our government makes headway in ensuring that investments take forward, the voice of the community is not left behind. And then lastly, research and advocacy is a cross-cutting thematic area for us, because the research that LRF does not only informs programs, but is also able to inform policy development. Things like changing the law, bringing different perspectives from different communities, especially in gaps or in areas where we don't have much research. And our interest is to partner a lot with the research organizations, including academic institutions, in conducting this kind of research. Then lastly, of course, is looking inward, building the capacity of our staff and our board members, so that then they become agents of change in the society. In terms of our research and advocacy work, we did a research in 2009 called the sentencing trends in Kenya, and we looked at the practices, the emerging trends, and we looked at judicial discretion as factors that are able to contribute towards the sentencing trends that are happening in the country. And we realized that really there was a huge gap, a huge disparity, where we have cases with similar facts, similar circumstances, but perhaps maybe from different counties, but the sentences that are meted against these individuals were quite harsh. And so we took it up, and our efforts have not been unfruitful. Currently we have a sentencing task force that exists, and our book was actually a background research material that the task force is using. And so we are quite happy, because we are saying that this agitation, this advocacy is bearing fruit, and that task force is supposed to actually develop a national framework that guides sentencing in Kenya.
In October 2014, LRF unveiled its strategic plan for 2014 to 2019, with emphasis on decentralization of programs in line with devolution.
We are implementing our programs in 16 counties in Kenya, which we have narrowed down to 3 regions. And therefore we have, for instance, Nairobi City County, which coordinates where the head office is based. And it coordinates neighboring counties like Machakos, Nakuru, Kiambu County, Thika, and many others. About 5 of them. Then we have the northern region. The northern region is coordinated in West Pokot in Kapenguria, where we have a regional office. That county coordinates the bigger western part of Kenya. It includes counties like Kisumu. It includes counties like Kisii, Migori County, Kericho is also one of the target counties, and Baringo also. And then lastly, we have what we call the Upper Eastern, coordinated at Isiolo County.
I think that the new constitution does provide a tremendous opportunity for the growth of LRF as an institution. And we have, in fact, started responding to the demands of the new constitution. For example, we have devolved our activities to the counties. So we are working in 3 regions, away from Nairobi. So we are really going to retain a very thin secretariat in Nairobi. And this is a response to the Constitution. The other area that LRF will be working in, again in response to the Constitution, is the alternative dispute resolution system. So most of our staff members have now been trained as mediators, and we are going to be increasing that part of our work. Our paralegal work is, of course, a major flagship for LRF, and we think that our paralegals can be enhanced in terms of their skills so that they actually function as community mediators, providing the alternative dispute resolution options for communities. We see ourselves very strongly involved in implementing the Constitution, working very closely with the judiciary as it reforms. So again, in fact, the last let me just say that we've been working very closely with the Judicial Training Institute, JTI, as well as the court users and the magistrates, to try and see whether we can increase understanding of the expectations of the Constitution amongst magistrates, court clerks, and others. So the Constitution does open up tremendous opportunities for LRF to continue doing work much more in a much more consultative, collaborative manner. The phenomenon of public participation, which is really strongly entrenched in the Constitution, is key for us, and we'll continue, providing that. Providing a direction. In fact, very recently we released a booklet on public participation within the new Constitution. So it just shows you that we are responding to the Constitution and the demands of the Constitution, and that it does open up possibilities for our work. Of course, there are anxieties that the gains anticipated by this highly liberal Constitution are not lost on account of other factors. We are interested, for example, in the security sector, within the new strategic plan, because we know the dangers of insecurity. So we are interested in what makes people choose to be fundamentalists, and what are those factors that breed extremism in society, and how can we address those factors? So that always going back to the root causes of problems. And again, just to say that we believe that a critical solution is being aligned to social justice. The more just a society is, the more secure it will be for everybody. So that's our belief, and we believe that the Constitution does provide a path for the creation of such a just society.
Well, LRF now, I think I would say that is still very relevant, because the new Constitution and the implementation of the new Constitution requires an enlightened, empowered, citizenry. Otherwise, we can forget about implementing the new Constitution. So in that respect, LRF is still extremely relevant, extremely important in its mission of empowering people with knowledge about the Constitution, about the law, so that they can push for what is theirs, for their rights.
I see LRF as an organization that moves from, a national influencer of policy to a regional influencer of championing the rights of human beings, of people, the rights, of people in terms of enhancing their civic awareness, and especially now that we have the integration, the regional integration process. I see LRF becoming this giant organization that is able to mushroom and grow small networks and communities into respectable institutions, and it has already started doing that. Only that now it will be much more respected and amplified in the community and in the region.
The paralegal approach is integral to LRF's efforts to broaden access to justice in Kenya. The approach entails training of lay people to provide legal advice, create legal and human rights awareness, and make relevant referrals. LRF was among the organizations that pioneered paralegal education in Kenya. The foundation piloted the approach in the Kangemi informal settlement in Nairobi and the peri-urban Kikuyu constituency in 1999. The first group of paralegals trained by LRF graduated later that year.
The paralegal program actually was the bastion of providing legal information to people on a day-to-day basis, on a need basis. And I think that's one of the most important achievements of LRF, and still remains a landmark, of LRF.
I do acknowledge that paralegalism in the 90s was critical because there was very minimal knowledge of legal issues among Kenyans.
The paralegal training workshops not only sought to empower participants, but also to provoke critical thinking on legal and human rights issues in Kenya. In those formative years, the paralegal program relied heavily on the volunteer services of lawyers and law students from the University of Nairobi. This exposed budding lawyers and law students to human rights work. Over time, the paralegal program was divided into two distinct yet complementary projects: the Prisons Paralegal Project and the Community Paralegal Project.
Paralegals among communities, in prisons, in other detention facilities like police stations, are as important as they were in the 90s.
Paralegals are especially invaluable to the poor and disadvantaged in the society. This is aptly captured by the case of Mzee Peter Matheka, who was discovered by one of LRF's paralegals languishing at Kamiti Maximum Security Prison for a crime he did not commit.
Katiwa nikisafiwa pule tu, kusemewa mimi nazika watoto. Ile mwishukua. Na kama hivi, kibelekwa huko, nakuja kutuma kapli, nakuja kupanya uchunguzi. Nakuta ni kazi ya pule.
Na ulikuwa umekaa Kamiti muda gani kabla?
Mwaka mzima.
Na Catherine.
Mwaka mzima. Naenda ofisini kwa yeye. Mwambia. Na kiweka wakili mzee afanye kazi yangu, kesi yangu afanye. na mchele kama naingia Machakos, akakuja akamaliza hiyo maneno.
Matheka's case also highlights the important role LRF paralegals play in ensuring reformed convicts are accepted by their families and re-assimilated in their communities.
Siku hiyo ngakuja ngachukua kabili, ngaletwa hapa nyumbani, nitoka mbili, kuja hapa na ngazi mbili, kakuta mkutano hapo. Mimi nasema niongojewa hapa, kakuta watu mengi wanakaa hapa. Ngaya ngachukua chipu ile naipo Malebe, kakuta hapa na iko kapila, ngachukua ndio ngakuja nayo hapa, ngamaambia hiyo watu napunga mimi, natatoa kila mtu milioni mzima, sababu mimi napungwa pule. Kwa hivyo ndio akakataa, akasema hii maneno yangaliwe ni Wakamba. Pile anaanza kupanya maneno ya sasa samani.
Another beneficiary of LRF's paralegal work is Helen Muthoni, who recalls how a paralegal saved her from possible conviction on a false charge.
Nikakuja mimi nikashikwa, nikapelekwa Kenyago police station Dadora. Nikakaa huko siku mbili. Nikapelekwa kotini Makandala. Sasa nikasomewa nikaambiwa nimebia msichana simu na tukamchapa na wengine na tumemuumiza bavu. Mimi nikakubali, unajua mimi sikuwa nimeshikwa tena. Mimi nikasema ndio, juu nilikuwa hapo akichapa, akipigwa. Nikasema ndio, nikapelekwa Rangata. Sasa ndipo tulikutana na Redia. Sasa akaniambia anaweza nisaidia, lakini kwanza niongee ukweli. Nikamwambia ukweli yote. Sasa alikuwa ananifuata sana, hata alikuwa anaongea na mamangu vile hata anaweza ongea na mlalamishi asikuje kotini juu hataki kesi. Alikuwa anasema si mimi nilimfanyia hiyo kitendo. Alikuwa ameniambia niseme niachiliwe na 202 juu 87A ati nikiachiliwa naweza rudishwa tena huko Rangata. Nikasema naomba niachiliwe na 202 juu mlalamishi akuji na hataki kesi. Yuona akaandika akaniambia nimekuachilia na 202. Sasa ndio nilitoka. Tukakuta Redia sasa paralegal alikuwa amenisaidia sana, siwezi jua vile naweza sema. Juu ni yeye, kama si yeye sikuwa mimi nimeshikwa mara nyingine, sikuwa najua vile kesi inaendelea. Juu unaona hata mara kwanza nienda na nikakubali na ni kesi baya sana. Akanisaidia sana.
Matheka and Muthoni represent hundreds of Kenyans who have benefited from the free services of LRF paralegals.
One of the biggest achievements of the paralegal approach is it's at two levels. One is at community level, where you provide a legal literacy at community level to ensure that even the traditional justice system benefits from legal